Hey everyone, welcome out to the podcast. Welcome to episode 6, which, give me a second, for some reason my camera's not there. There we go, now we have a camera. Welcome to episode 6 of the double podcast. Wow. Let's try that again.
You can English.
Welcome to episode 6 of the double count out. My name is Rex Lyons. I am your host for the evening. So tonight's episode, we are interviewing from Unified Wrestling, the one and only Tim Donnelly. Tim, welcome in. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you going?
I'm doing good. So I just about forgot to unmute you as I was saying welcome in, and that, which would have been fucking funny.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, how are you doing? And then just chatting away and nothing. But should we get right into the questions?
Yeah, man, let's go.
Okay, so first question I think to usually always ask is, what got you into wrestling as a whole? Like, what made you a fan?
As a whole, right. Characters really. A lot of the stuff I was into as a kid, like your comic books and superheroes and all that stuff, and just seeing like wrestling on TV was kind of like in that vein. A lot of like colorful characters, and I just thought, man, this is pretty cool. This like lines up with what a type of stuff I'm already into, so it was all go from there.
So you said you liked superheroes and that growing up. I'm guessing you're still a fan of superheroes?
Oh yeah, like yeah, that love never died away. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. So fan of superheroes. Who would be your top 5 superheroes?
Oh, mate. So Batman's probably going to be number one. That was like the hook, line, and the sinker right there. Man, I don't know about top 5. I kind of like generally flip-flop between them.
Can you do a top 3?
Yeah, maybe Batman, Spider-Man, and man, I don't know. I'd have to. I kind of just generally like the medium as opposed to just picking favorites. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
yeah.
I understand that. So, going with superheroes, superhero-based wrestlers. Do you have a top 3 on that?
Man, I'd be remiss if I don't mention CPW's Jay Marshall.
Superhero Jay Marshall, good man.
Yeah. He's a quite a character. But
he was our guest on our last episode.
Yeah. Man, the Hurricane, it's probably the top one in terms of the superhero gimmick. He just he made that so good. What seemed like just like a low mid card gimmick, he just turned it into something that was like so amazing, and probably it should not have worked as well as it did, but he made it work to like such an amazing degree that he was even briefly like involved in the Rock Austin rivalry when they had their last ever Stone Cold's like last ever like match for basically until Kevin Owens at Mania.
Yeah, they gave him chicken shit and he made chicken salad.
Well, I mean, it was like, I mean, if you go back, it was basically, was it Sugar Shane Helms? It was just a carryover in the Invasion. And it was just a throwaway segment with Austin backstage, where Austin's all like pretending to motivate him, you know what I mean? And he's like, oh, you like the superhero stuff, right? And he just basically like, he tells him to go out there and be a superhero, and he starts doing like, kind of like a very light Green Lantern ripoff. And it just snowballed from there. Yeah. But But like, it's funny because like one of the very first things he does when he debuts the superhero gimmick is he tries to choke slam the Big Show.
Ah, yep, I remember that.
And
Big
Big
Show
Show's
just
just
like,
stand, but Big Show's just standing there while this guy's got his hand like reaching up around his neck. He's just staring down at him like, "What is this child doing to me?" And honestly, it was just great. Everything he did after that was just amazing. The when he got Rosie from 3 Minute Warning, they started doing the superhero and training stuff.
the SHIT, yep.
Yeah. I love those segments and that storyline. I mean, he had like an absolute killer tag partner when he was teaming up with Kane, and they were calling themselves Hurricane.
Yep.
But yeah, no, he's probably the top one in terms of superhero gimmicks in the wrestling scene that I can think of from the top of my head.
Nice. So just a random question here. What's your
Yeah.
favorite color?
Honestly, probably green or pink, probably.
Let's try this. Is it going to? Dang it. Let's try it this way. For some reason that redemption didn't work. Sorry. Let me just bring up my questions here. So with the wrestling, what made you decide, yeah, this is something I want to do, something that I want to pursue? Also, hey Shrimp, welcome into the podcast.
Well, I've always wanted to do wrestling even when I was a kid. When I started watching it, you go to school and like you and all your schoolmates, you want to do like all the wrestling you've done on TV and stuff. But I was always adamant that that's what I wanted to do when I was older. And I've even got in storage, I've got like old like primary school textbooks, and it's all like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a WWE wrestler. So I had the goal of wanting to do it even back then.
Oh, nice. So it's been a lifelong dream?
Oh yeah.
Being a wrestler?
Yeah. The only real problem is I've never been like terribly like athletically gifted or anything, which doesn't really matter in terms of wrestling, because you look at a lot of even when I was watching a lot of the guys didn't look like they were in like super shape, and I think that's more of like a modern trend of like these super rips like super fit looking wrestlers.
Yeah. Sorry, I asked you your favourite colour before. Was because, I mean, it's not showing up the best. Dang it, you can't quite see the light, but I've turned the light pink.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you are a referee for Unified, right?
Yes.
What made you decide to become a referee, or how did that happen?
So while I was training under Unified, it was basically something to do before I actually got to actually wrestle and get in the ring and do it myself under the gimmick that we'll mention soon. But basically, it was the company's way of just helping me get more involved rather than just setting up and like small menial tasks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get me more involved in the show, but also get me experience of being in the ring. And it's just a different perspective when you're actually in the ring calling the match as opposed to spectating or trying to rile up the crowd or even wrestling, and I didn't really have like a handbook of what to do with refereeing, so I kind of just got advice from like other wrestlers, and I watched a bunch of like Monday Night Raws on the WWE Network, just the weekly shows, and just skipped all the segments and just watched the matches and just had a look at what the referees were doing, as much as they were on the camera, because sometimes they're not even in frame.
Yep, always got to study those referees, don't you?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're great. WWE, I think their officiating, like, is pretty crisp. So just watching how they do stuff and how they react in certain situations is always great.
Yeah, I remember watching an interview with Mike Chioda, and he was talking
Yeah,
about giving time cues and that, and how he would make it look like he's yelling at the wrestler and like arguing with them, but really he's telling them like, you've got 10 minutes, you've got 5 minutes, and just
yeah, it's good with it.
yeah, just look like you're arguing with the wrestler, which of course you'd have to wait till they've done something that was worth arguing over. You're not going to go up to them randomly and go, like, make it look like you're going like, yo, what the fuck were you doing that for? When they've done nothing.
I got that early on my reffing gigs. Some of the North Island talent that we brought down, the veterans, were pretty instrumental in helping me referee as well, because they would be like, they'd be in the corner and they'd like, hey, start yelling at me, like, like,
Yeah.
like, get on my face, pull me away, like, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah, I've had that before.
and then while I'm doing that, like, they start like talking like mad shit to you as well, like, I'm not doing anything, ref, like, get away from me, like, I'm barely touching the guy. It's just like, it's really funny. I can't remember who it was, but one of my early reffing gigs, we had it was a North Island guy there, and I was refereeing the match, and like he was really like giving me a hard time out there, completely in character, but I was very conflicted at the time it happened because of just like how how he made it look good, like, and it just like, I was like, man, I was like, was he really going at me or like whatever? And then after the match, he's all like, you did good out there, kid. Like, and I'm just like, okay. I was like, it was all kayfabe, but like I was like very scared for my life at some points.
Yep. Did you ever get to ref for Bryant?
I might have like maybe a couple of matches.
Yeah, I never got to ref for Bryant. Sorry, there's one spot
he's good. Yeah,
he was, yeah, retired now.
Is he?
Yeah, current general manager of CPW.
But was that like injury prone or?
He got a concussion last year.
Oh,
after a car crash.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But there's one spot he would always do that, because I never got to ref from him. There's one spot I always wanted to do. Is when he's choking the guy in the corner, but he's like talking to the referee and like asking him like, so what's the count? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, then let go, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then let go? He's choking the guy.
Yeah, I know. I've done that. That exact spot with him in refereeing.
Yeah,
he's almost like comical in the way he breaks the rules during matches, and like he does it in such a like a condescending manner. You know what I mean? Like he's talking down to the referee or whatever.
Yeah, that spot always made me laugh when I was in the crowd.
Yeah, no, there's certain aspects that I've always enjoyed certain guys doing, and him doing the condescending like confusion like to the referees is always a good one.
Don't remember if I've asked this one. Don't think I have. How did you find out about New Zealand wrestling?
Yes, that's an interesting one. So New Zealand wrestling specifically, I found out the first company I was really aware of, it might have been around early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s, about high school. I found IPW, Impact Pro Wrestling. So NZPWI was a website I used to frequent on, and Dion McCracken used to write columns on there, and he used to write stuff about live events with WWE or TNA were coming over this side of the world. And also like he'd do wrestling columns for the local scenes as well. So I was aware of IPW, Impact Pro Wrestling, and then there was New Zealand Wide Pro Wrestling and Kiwi Pro Wrestling, I believe, were the ones that I was keenly aware of at that point. And then I got to watch IPW for a while on TV. They had it on CTV, which was a station that used to be down here that went out of business. But they used to air IPW had a weekly show called Ignition.
Yep, I remember that.
And I thought that was great. And I think during that same time period, I'm pretty sure Prime TV picked up Kiwi Pro Wrestling.
Did not know that one.
Yeah, Prime TV had Kiwi Pro Wrestling on there, and so they were on there for a while. And I think at one point during the Kiwi Pro Wrestling, they were doing like a crossover invasion thing with the New Zealand Wide Pro Wrestling. So you would have stars from both companies crossing over onto the KPW stuff. And then eventually all that went away. So, but IPWs, they were a weekly show for a while, and I think they might have even been on the Murray TV at one point. During at the end or something, or maybe it was a revived series. I can't remember which.
Mana Momo, that was called.
Yeah. But that's the last I remember seeing of New Zealand related stuff on TV. But I was lucky because that all happened while I was very invested in the wrestling scene at the time. So just seeing all the local stuff was great, and very fond memories actually. Yeah, I really loved it.
Oh, nice. Is Unified the only company you have riffed for so far?
Yes. I've riffed pretty much in all the, because Christchurch wrestling has an interesting scene in its short span, but with all the companies that have stopped and started, I have refereed in basically all of them. I started when it was Aftershock Pro Wrestling, which was the original incarnation, and then there was disagreements between people who were working together there, and one of them went off and started Ultimate Championship Wrestling, and then they amalgamated with APW, and it became one company for a while. And then Asylum Pro Wrestling started up, and then eventually they shut down, and Ultimate Championship Wrestling was changed to Unified. But largely all the talent's been basically more or less the same people across all the iterations, and I've refereed basically in all of them.
Sweet. So basically just all the Christchurch companies?
Yeah. I've been down to SPW a couple of times, but I haven't refereed or anything down there. And at one point we did do a show in Nelson, I think it was. That was just a one-off. We haven't gone back there since.
Oh, dang. Nice. Sorry, the light isn't as bright as normal, so I'm kind of in the dark here.
It's alright.
Yeah, I mean, what other companies would you like to riff for, seeing as you've only riffed for the Christchurch companies?
I don't know. I mean, refereeing's more of a if I have to at this point.
Fair enough.
I've come so far from my refing days that basically when I get asked to ref up, it's more of a all right, boss. Like, but I mean, if it was a way to get my foot in the door in other companies, then sure, you know, I'd be keen to help out. I still keep my reffing gear just in case I need it. So
always good.
Yeah.
Always good to have that gear. Do you have a top 3 of matches you've reffed?
Oh. I don't know. There's stuff I remember from refereeing, but I don't know if I've got necessarily a top 3. I mean, there's certain wrestlers that I liked refereeing for. Like Bryant, Rough Guts, were always pretty entertaining to referee their matches.
Yeah.
Usually like the really big character, like the big heels, that they are like very entertaining to ref for because just the ridiculous situations that they can embroil you up in. You know, and sometimes they like have very creative ways of distracting you during the match.
Do you have the funniest moment in a match, like a moment that stood out for you? This one, as a referee for this one.
As a referee, funniest moment. Not really sure. I always used to get like a wee chuckle when Rough Guts used to do his chewing gum spot. Very hard to keep it to get. Well, you have to keep it together when you're in the ring, but there's probably footage of me like cracking a smile when the heel does something that I actually find particularly entertaining. But like the chewing gum spot just always used to make me like laugh so hard when I was watching it, and then having to referee a Rough Guts match and he does that in the ring during the match, and I'm thinking like, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. It's just so hard. You know, when you're seeing the other guy like flaying about and like hoiking because he's got someone else's gum in his mouth, it's just like it's really hard to keep it together when that's happening and right in front of you.
Yeah, and you're just like, don't laugh, don't laugh.
Well, I have to act disgusted, but I'm like, you can kind of like see my whole body shaking because I'm actually trying hard, like not to laugh instead.
Nice. So, before you said about your character and that,
Yeah.
So that is, and we're breaking the kayfabe wall here. That is Stuart the Druid.
Yeah.
So, how did Stuart the Druid come to be?
Oh, wow. We have a wrestler called Abraxas. Very horror type big man monster character.
Yep, I know Abraxas very well. He chopped me on my
Yep.
first day down there. I felt it for days.
Brilliant. So I mean, he's he's such a nice guy in real life, and the transformation from uh how he is in real life to him in the Abraxas mode is like a night and day. It's like a Jerker or Mr. Hyde, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you got this
definitely.
nice friendly big dude, and then it's all like and it's like holy shit, like this is like the same guy. Like he's good at it though. He's real into like his like horror and metal stuff. And he's even done stuff and like the I can't remember what it's called. It's like a horror maze. Um but he's done work there. But basically, so he was in like a group. I think they were called the Circus of Tragedy.
Yep. Wait, was he
That
in
was
Circus? With Umlaut, Jitters, Boris?
yeah. So that was like very early Aftershock Pro Wrestling, and then he kind of drifted away from that. So while I was training with them, and doing the referee stuff, they were looking at him starting his own faction, and it was the Cult of Abraxas. And so me and a couple of the other trainees were going to be involved. So one of the guys was going to be like the manager slash mouthpiece. So they wanted him to be like kind of like a cult leader type thing, you know what I mean? Like talking up members of the audience, talking other wrestlers, like trying to entice them to join this cult of Abraxas and how amazing he is, blah blah blah.
Join us.
Yeah, but things didn't work out, and he actually stopped being in the wrestling business altogether. So he didn't last long as a manager, but I think had he continued, it would have been like a kind of like a sinister minister type vibe, you know.
Oh,
Just
nice.
that yeah. But I think he had disagreements on what his character was and where the direction of the group was going to be going, and rather than fighting with management, he just kind of quietly went, "Yeah, I think I'm just going to not do the wrestling thing." Like, I mean, so he respectfully left, and so me and one of the other guys that was in my training class, we were going to be like these nameless, faceless druids. Basically, I think the idea was we were going to be like a tag team slash cannon fodder for Abraxas. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
people will have to get through the druids to get to him, and that kind of fizzled out because the guy I was training with, he left. Um, so they kind
A
of
lot of people
scrambled,
leaving.
and yeah, so and a bunch of people kind of went and came and went as like the other druid. So sometimes we would have someone who was down from the North Island, or we would just have someone else who was already on the show just dress up as the other druid. So but I was the only constant druid, and so basically because of all the weird shenanigans of the rough start for our group, uh, I had a tag match. It was me and Abraxas. We were taking on a couple of guys who aren't on the scene anymore. So it'd be T Cole and God, I can't remember what his actual wrestling name was, but the other guy was Uffy. He was like a big island dude.
I don't know him either. Otherwise, I think.
Yeah. I'm forgetting what his actual wrestling name was, but but so we were in a tag match, and basically they hadn't given a name to any of the druids, or specifically me. So I was just out there, and then I'm getting tossed around by these guys, like beaten up like it's nobody's business. And Abraxas, he's like, damn, he's like, I can't just say come on druid or something. Like he's like, so he on the spot he just thought about calling me Stuart. So he just yelled out, "Come on, Stuart!" And the crowd in attendance were laughing, and because he's like Stuart, he's like, that's my druid's name, Stuart the Druid, and like people just got really into that. And for some reason, with that particular audience, it caught on, and people just went nuts about it. And basically, I've been Stuart the Druid ever since.
So the name just came randomly.
Yeah, I believe it was like he just thought of like the first person that came to his mind. It just happened to be a guy who was working with called Stuart. So, but then it just ended up kind of rhyming as well, Stuart the Druid. So, yeah. So put it on like social media and all that stuff afterwards. Made like a Facebook page for him and stuff, and
I gotta double
but yeah,
check if I'm
no,
following that Facebook page.
yeah, I'm shockingly bad at posting on it, to be honest.
I'm bad at posting on my page.
Uh, I'm not the avid social media user that I was when I was younger, so it's kind
Un-
of uh,
Understandable. So,
yeah, and
sorry, you go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, well, my gimmick doesn't speak much or very well at all, so
Yeah,
it would not make sense for him to be on social media yapping it up and chatting all the time. You know what I
no.
mean? We got to keep the mysterious vibe, and it kind of goes away the more you peel back the layers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which we're peeling back some of them here,
Yeah,
ironically.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like when we were talking down at Unified, and that like if I was to interview you as Stuart, like fully in character as Stuart, it would be like, so what got you into wrestling?
oh yeah,
Superheroes.
yeah,
Just
yeah. It would, yeah, it would. It would make for an interesting, if not very, not much said interview.
yeah, it'd be like, Stuart, we need you to say more than one word answers. Get
Yeah.
a 2 word answer.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was just happenstance. I needed to say stuff, and I just thought it would be funny to do the old like "who caveman talk" type thing. And then I thought, what if this guy really is like brainwashed, but like he doesn't really know or understand like how to speak properly, so he's just kind of like almost like I'm jumping ahead, but almost like you can kind of see with the promos that I've done with John Henry, where I'm almost like mimicking the way he acts and the way he talks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Kind of like, kind of like a child who's learning how things work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Stuart's kind of like he's like that mentally trapped child, and he's still trying to work out the world and trying to work out what's going on and stuff.
Those promos are amazing. I
Oh,
mean, the was it the first recruitment one? Was it the first one where like you got the book in there, and then John
oh, is
throws
that
the
the one?
book, and you're
Is that?
like
Oh
Wiggles,
yeah, yeah.
and what
Yeah,
was it? It's CQR. Meanwhile, the letters are CUN.
yeah, yeah. That was a great night. We didn't really know what we were gonna do. We just kind of riffing stuff, and that's kind of like a compilation best of um stuff that we recorded over several hours.
The best thing with that one, with the almost spelling the C word, is as John was telling me when he picked me up, and I think you said you were mentioning it too, how you had all 4 letters, and you decided no, that's a bit too much, so you put the CUN, but then the T from the shirt is still there, so the
Yeah.
word is
So
still on screen.
so we did have all the letters, and we did film a take with all the letters spelled out. But what was ultimately decided was because we're kind of like gearing like a family friendly type environment. So spelling out vulgar words is kind of
Bit
kind
on the
of a bit
nose.
well, it's a bit on the nose, and it's also a bit like anti-family. You know what I mean? Especially with kids who know how to spell. They're like, "Oh, that's a naughty word." Oh, so we thought that you would also you would get more people in on the joke. Well, more adults. You know what I mean? Like they'll know exactly what it is once they start seeing the letters playing out. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things where like the kids find it funny because they're acting goofy, but the adults find it funny um, because of the implied humor, and they understand what the real joke's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And like that that particularly part of the video quite a lot of people were like, "Oh, that was really funny with the letters and stuff." Like, so I think the implied way actually worked out better in the end.
It
And
definitely
then
did.
and we didn't realize about the t-shirt thing. We got told numerous times by people who had seen it, "Hey, did you know like the last letters on the t-shirt?" And me and John Henry were like, "Huh." Like we never even noticed that. So that was
It's like,
unintentional, but
oopsie.
it is kind of funny that that's how it ended out.
Yeah. Um. So I was asked you before about being broken as a referee.
Mm.
Who has broken you as Stuart? I suppose the good part here with Stuart is the full blackout mask, so you can have a big grin on your face and no one would know.
Oh yeah, man, yeah. No, I frequently sometimes am glad that I'm wearing the mask. um, and I don't know if generally the comedy spots are stuff that I'm doing myself. So I mean, like, it's not funny to me because I've like rehearsed the joke a couple of times already. You know what I mean? But sometimes just the spontaneous things that can happen, especially with some of the more veteran wrestlers, where they'll do something, they'll say something during the match. Trying to remember, I was in a multi-man match. It might have been James Shaw or something, and James Shaw is a character in himself.
He is.
Just some of the stuff that he riffs during a match as a heel is so comically entertaining. Being in a multi-man match with him and just him just being himself and riffing, uh, it's quite entertaining. And sometimes he'll say stuff like while he's like beating you up or whatever, and it's I like I'm lying on the ground getting the shit kicked out of me, and he's coming up with like creative insults like towards Stuart the Druid, and I'm hunched in a ball like laughing, but I got to act like I'm in pain.
So you're like trying to sell pain while under the mask you're just laughing your head off.
Well, I mean probably like the uncontrollable shaking from laughing is probably selling enough because it makes my body move, and then I'm just like, oh shit, like. But he's someone I've been in a match that he cracked me up several times because he's a funny dude. But I'm pretty sure that match might have been it was like a 4-way ladder match, and I remember at the start. I don't know if I'm pretty sure this was just like the guys were just riffing in the ring, but they were all kind of like telling like me as Stuart the Druid, they're like, oh, try and grab the title. So I'm running across the ring and trying to jump at the title hanging above the ring, and they're all standing at the corners going, oh, you almost got it, try again, try again.
So this is without a ladder.
This is without a ladder. I'm just trying to jump from the canvas to grab it. So
I mean,
I'm doing like I'm trying to jump up like I'm grabbing it and doing running jumps and stuff, but uh, was completely taken by surprise there because that it was not part of anything that we'd planned out, and that just kind of happened circumstance. Uh, but I thought, wow, fuck it, gonna play along anyway because Stuart would be that dumb.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Stuart would be like,
But
I can jump and grab these.
yeah, but the best part about that match was when I learned I was going to be in a ladder match, I went to my parents' house and I went, "Hey, have you got that small step ladder still?" So I had
Oh,
this tiny step ladder. It's only got about like 2 steps or something, and I put it under the ring. So then, when it was time to climb up, everyone's down, and I'm like, oh, ladder, and they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I go into the ring, right? Avoid the big ladder that's very blatantly there to use, and grab the tiniest step stool ladder, put it in the ring, and then I do the old wrestling spot where I very slowly start climbing up the ladder. So I was like acting like I was afraid of heights, and so I step on the step one, I start wobbling. I think one of the legs was crooked, so it's kind of like wobbling a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I was like, this will be good. So I'm acting like I'm real scared to get up to the second step, and like I've only got one more step to go, and the crowd's like egging me like, you can do it, Stuart, don't be afraid.
Come on, Stuart!
Yeah, and then I get up to the last one, and then across the ring is Hustler, and everyone's like, oh shit, and he drop kicks the stool out from under me. And what's supposed to happen is I'm supposed to land beside the ladder or whatever. But what ended up happening was my leg went like straight down. So as opposed to like just landing on my back, I kind of landed like one leg hit the ground first, and then the rest of my body fell down. But it fell down like in between the stool. So it kind of looked like I'd almost broken my leg if you look at the footage back. However, I did not get hurt at all from that spot, and that was not what was bothering me after the match. So,
Well, at least it wasn't actually broken.
no, well, it looks good, and I had everyone from like fans and like people backstage asking me if I was okay, and I didn't know why. And it wasn't until someone showed me the footage back and you see my leg, I went, so it kind of looks like my leg just went.
See, if you'd known when it happened how it looked, you could have like really sold that during the match.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't know. So yeah, I watched it back, and my leg did land at a ridiculously like awkward angle that very much looked like I could have easily broken my leg. So I got him that night.
But so that's a good segue into the next question. Of bumps, what is one of the most scariest or painful bumps? Actually, we'll go scariest and painful bumps, so separately.
Well, scariest, I don't know. Scariest anything that's up high. Just because you don't know with the velocity and the elevation. Hopefully you hope for the best, but you just don't know sometimes. And I've landed very awkwardly sometimes on stuff where I've been like thrown off the top rope or above someone's head. Because it's a completely different ball when you're falling from a bigger height than what you're used to. In terms of the ones that hurt the most, so I got scoop slammed by Bryant once, and you would think a scoop slam wouldn't hurt you, but what happened was upon impact, I bit my tongue, and I bit it very, very hard. So I'm lying on the ground going, ah!
Blood?
And my tongue is just an absolute agony.
I'm guessing there was blood.
A little bit, like yeah, it was just it was very awkward. It's definitely the bump I remember being the most painful because my tongue hurt for a good 2 days after that, and
So the pain wasn't even from the bump.
yeah, well, it was from the impact of the bump, but yeah, so
Yeah, well, it was from you biting your tongue.
yeah, it's from me. So
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but what was funny is I had to take another one after that. So here I am getting straight back up, and I'm like trying to fucking breathe, like
Yeah.
my tongue's burning, and then I took another one. I was just like, all right. I was like, keep your mouth firmly shut, like.
Yes, do not bite the tongue.
Yeah,
So,
do not go for round 2. Yeah.
So, and even if there was like a significant or a good amount of blood, you couldn't go to them, punch me in the face, so you could have the blood come out because again you're under the mask.
Oh, yeah. So
Because that would have been good otherwise, I reckon. If
Yeah.
it wasn't a mask or your mouth, it was
Oh,
only half.
actually, come to think of it, there probably is one more that beats that.
Oh, what's that?
Um, yeah. So I had a match against what was his ring? Against Chalky,
Ah, yep.
and
Chalky Murdoch.
yeah,
Hang on, I'm
man,
just checking something with my light.
good dude. But so we were doing a thing where he was going to bash my head 3 times on the top turnbuckle, 3 times on the middle turnbuckle, 3 times on the bottom turnbuckle, and then he was just going to go to fucking town on me, right? So we start off and it go 1, 2, 3, boom, top one. We get to the middle one. After the first one, the pad actually slipped.
Oh,
So I hit my head on a
on the
basically
exposed
steel,
turnbuckle. Yep.
on the exposed turnbuckle on steel, and and so I was basically just guiding him to smash my head into it because I thought, oh, why not just go full force? You know what I mean? It's all padded up. Who cares? So when the pad fell off while he was doing it, that actually it cut the mask, and it also cut like I think just above my eyebrow.
Oh.
So I had so when I took the mask off after the match, I had blood like coming down my face, inside the mask. So we kind of turned that into like a gimmick. I got it stitched up in the color blue. Because if you look at the Stuart mask, I might grab it if it's around. I can show you because there's actually a blue stitch mark on the mask itself in reference to that. This is so give me a second.
Oh, good.
And wow, this is really crumpled up. Right, so as you can see, there is a stitch mark against above the eye that's blue.
Yep.
So that was from that spot. So that was in kind of reference to the mask actually being legitimately ripped during that spot in the match. And that was going to be a long-standing story where over several shows and over time, there was going to be random colors placed on Stuart and around his clothing. So eventually he would go from wearing all black to basically like a rainbow. But
Nice.
that never happened because the ownership changed and storylines and feuds changed and stuff. So we started it, but we never really got the ball rolling, and so that's always just been a relic. The mask has always been a relic of what was going to be the genesis of a storyline that never got off the ground.
Oh, nice. Would you ever unmask? Do you ever want to wrestle unmasked?
So I was trying to work out the logistics of getting unmasked for a while, just because the gimmick had kind of run its course. Because it was from the cult of Abraxas, and then when that group dissolved, I was still doing the gimmick, but it was kind of like the leftovers, you know what I mean? Like, you know how Roman Reigns was still doing the Shield stuff, even though the Shield were broken up?
Yep.
So I was still doing the Dark Stuart, the Druid stuff, despite the fact that the cult of Abraxas and Abraxas himself were no longer around at that time. So we ran with that for a while, and then I started adding comedy elements to matches and promos and stuff, just as a way to just spice up the character. And then I felt like I had hit a wall like I couldn't, it was just it was hard to come up with like comedy stuff,
Like,
like
where do you go
sketches.
from there?
Yeah, comedy sketches and comedy like matches, and it was just kind of like, oh, what do I where do I go from here? So I was kind of like, oh, if I unmask, that'll add a new dimension, and then I can kind of wrestle with something else and maybe do like I'm not brainwashed anymore type thing, or try and work out where to go from there. But then Bogan Jesus was starting up his own security team, like a ragtag group of random individuals, CQRT, which stands for Customer Quality Recruitment Team.
Yep.
And so he pitched that idea and he went blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking about getting unmasked at this time. And when he announced that, I immediately went, hey, I want in on this.
Yeah, I
Like
remember.
that'll be the perfect way to reinvigorate like the character, the gimmick, and like it'll give me a fresh new coat of paint. You know what I mean? Because I was like, man, I was like, I think I've taken the gimmick as far as it can go, and I'm done at this point. And then that just happened as I was thinking about like trying to work out the logistics of how and when I would unmask, and then he announced that, and I went, it just a light bulb went off in my head, and I went, yep, this is what I need. This is that thing that will keep me going just a little bit longer and preserve that life a little bit longer, in the long run.
Yeah, so I remember when I was down, the first time I was down there, December, we were talking about like if you were to unmask, and that because you were still healed back then, weren't you? Because CQRT hadn't started.
Oh yeah, I flip flop.
Yeah.
I think the general perception is that Stuart is liked, so I mainly wrestle face. Um, but if need be, uh, in certain matches or situations, I throw out heel tendencies just on the circumstances it calls for it.
Yeah. So speaking of CQRT, what has been the best moment in CQRT so far for you?
Best moment, man. Just all the segments, really. I mean, I get along with John Henry. I like John Henry. I've always got along with him both in and out of the ring. Um, and just getting to like riff and shoot the shit with him, and
Yeah.
like a wrestling context has been a lot of fun. And the feedback that me and him have been getting from people both in and out of the wrestling bubble has been like phenomenal. So people really, really digging all the stuff we've been doing. Uh, but yeah, I mean, yeah, basically that. It's just a lot of fun. It's a way to bring new light to the Stuart elements. Helps him as well, because gets him more confident with doing stuff on camera as well. Uh, and the great thing is we don't really have to take it too seriously. Like we can just come up with like some of the silliest, dumbest stuff, and a lot of it will pass, and people will find entertaining.
Yep, definitely. I mean, from all the stuff I've seen from CQRT, always gets a good chuckle out of me. Sometimes very good belly laughs.
Glad to hear it. That's what we aim for.
So, who have you not wrestled that you would absolutely love to wrestle? Like,
Uh, right. So I've been asked this question so many times, but so one that came to mind not long ago might have been when I was talking to John Henry, that I would like to wrestle, goes back to when I was watching the New Zealand scene. It was the Dale Knox.
Oh, Dal.
He was, when I was watching in high school, he was the fucking man to me.
That fucking knocks out.
Yeah. So I said to John Henry, I was like, all I want is the opportunity to wrestle him and have him do the knocks out of me, and it will be the coolest fucking thing that Stuart's ever done, because that finisher is one of the most fucking badass finishers in wrestling, no doubt.
Definitely.
The way he holds people up above his head, spins around, and then just launches them across the ring while they're spinning around until they smash into the canvas is just a fucking cool visual.
Yeah, for those that don't know what the move is, Dal gets his opponent up basically in a torture rack, then he spins like an airplane spin. He stops, lets them go, they keep spinning and hit the ground.
Yeah. Well, he's even done it from like a crucifix powerbomb position as well.
Yeah, I remember a show from Dub P Dub in Nio about a decade ago now, maybe a little over.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
It was Dub P Dub versus IPW, because Armageddon was the same day, so IPW were down in Wellington for Armageddon. Yeah, it was 5-on-5 Dub P Dub versus IPW elimination match. I was cameraman back then.
Yeah.
Mikey Rave, he took the knocks out and got eliminated. As he walked past, he's like, I'm never taking that move again.
Excuse me.
Hello.
I am not in the state to cook tonight, so we are doing a get run.
Sweet.
You don't look too good, sis.
I feel tip-top.
You are not tip top.
Okay.
She's got the flu.
Sister-in-law just came in because I think she's doing dinner tonight. Just she's not in a state to do dinner. She's not feeling well.
Flu.
Yeah, got the flu. So yeah, I was saying, so Mikey walked past, he's like, I'm never taking that move again. His equilibrium was non-existent at that point.
Oh, well, if I ever get the opportunity, that's the one thing that has to happen in the matches. I take that move.
Oh, sweet. Top 3 New Zealand wrestlers that you reckon that the world should look out for?
What, in terms of like the wrestling ability or like the characters or?
Either.
Well, I mean, we just talked about how much of a badass Dale Knox is, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him.
Does he still wrestle?
But I've seen him like very occasionally pop up in like a North Island show, but I don't know if he's doing it like on a full schedule.
Just that veteran that pops up every now and then for special shows.
Yeah. Well, I sure saw him on like an event a couple of years ago, and I was like, is he still going, or is this just kind of like a one-off thing that someone's like talked him into?
Yeah.
But yeah, him, man, Rough Guts is probably one of the ones that I just think like he's great from like a wrestling perspective, and from like a character perspective. I think he's like the complete package. And when I got back into the New Zealand wrestling scene, mid 2010s, he was like one of the first guys that I gravitated towards too, and I went, yeah, I like that guy.
Also, his transformation, the amount of weight he's lost and like the muscle and that, it's like, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I heard that his original gimmick was a lot different to what he turned it out to be later on.
Yeah, I believe his original gimmick, this is before I even came along, was a trash man.
So that's probably where the Rough Guts part comes from then. Yeah. So yeah, but he's great. Like just he's got little nuances, even in his chain wrestling and the way he does like the more technical aspects. You know, he's got like a unique way of doing certain holds and transitioning into them and stuff that isn't really commonplace around the country. So you know, for that alone, that's pretty valuable. Um, I tell you what, though, my absolute favorite gimmick in the country, and he's also a really excellent technical wrestler to boot, has to be the hooligan Marcus Cole.
Oh,
Um,
he is
that
good.
the football hooligan gimmick, how fucking good he is in the ring, and that absolute banger theme song of Vindaloo. It's just like the complete package, really. He's excellent. Anytime get to see him perform, it's always great.
He's just had surgery, hasn't he? Because he was unable to
Yeah,
compete
yeah,
at Southern Stampede.
yeah. He was yeah. That was unfortunate because he'd done the show before the Stampede. He'd done like this big angry like I'm gonna get you next time like promo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was all hyped up, all hyped up, all hyped up, and then right before the Stampede, it was like, oh hey, he's injured, he can't compete now, and we're all like, oh, damn, like
Like they say, this ain't ballet.
yeah. So that's unfortunate, but I'm hoping that you know he's back before we know it.
Hopefully. Um, international wrestlers, outside of like the main like WWE, TNA, AEW, New Japan, is there anyone that you enjoy watching that's like in like more indie companies that may not be well known?
Oh man, I don't follow the indie scene as much as I used to. And a lot of those guys that I did follow in the indie scenes are now in major companies. So yeah, because they all get there eventually. Zack Sabre Jr. I think he is overlooked as because he's a really great technical wrestler.
He is.
Uh,
Like first time I seen him, I'm just like, what?
yeah, and he does. It's funny because he does basic wrestling, but he does it so well
That it doesn't look
that,
basic.
that you don't even realize that like half the match is just your basic wrestling fundamentals 101. But he does it so smoothly and crisply, like that he makes it look fucking cool. You know what I mean? The way he transitions into different moves is amazing, and it's probably like top of the game. And I feel like a lot of the UK indie scene, I think, is like that. They're real. Their fundamentals, I think, are probably some of the best in wrestling. Um, maybe yeah, across Europe, maybe not just the UK. Germany has some pretty good technical wrestlers as well. Um, I don't know who's wrestling in Germany at the moment because I haven't checked the indie scenes for a while. But last I checked, they were Germany was a pretty good spot for pro wrestling as well. Um, but man, I don't know. There's uh Joey Ryan was one I always liked. See, he has like the he has like that sleazy like he's like that that slimeball sleazy gimmick. He's got like the dodgy mo. He's got like the hairy chest. He has like the baby oil. He rubs all over himself and his opponents, and he's always like sucking on like a lollipop and stuff.
Looks like a 70s porn star.
Yeah. He looks, yeah, exactly. He looks like the 70s porn star, and I always found that entertaining. The first time I ever saw him, I thought that was hilarious. He's always I've always found him entertaining. because of that.
I just
Um,
sorry, you finish.
yeah, no, I'm just trying to think of wrestlers from the top of my head.
Fair enough. I just thought of a match that would be really weird but funny to watch. Have you ever seen Invisible Man and Invisible Stan? Well, I don't know if "seen" is the right word, but
They are from Game Changer Wrestling.
yeah, imagine
Yeah,
Stuart
yeah.
the Druid versus Invisible Man versus Invisible Stan. Could you
Yeah,
pull
no,
that off?
I don't know if I could pull it off. No, I've seen that match. That the what makes that though is the GCW crowd are fully invested every single step of the way.
Yeah,
And he and even the referee reacts to stuff like he's blown away in the crowd. Like it's like ECW gets like its rep for being like the most crowd interactive like company, right? But I think like Game Changer like wrestling, I think is up there in terms of crowd participation and how that crowd is able to get the most minuscule of things over in that company is on a level that is untouched in terms of like wrestling on like a global scale.
yeah. The fact that with Invisible Man and Invisible Stan, there is literally no one there, and the crowd are
Like,
reacting to spots.
well, you say that, but that crowd saw tables breaking and balcony dives and all sorts of
Yeah,
shenanigans.
I was
So
just about to bring up the table in the corner just breaking. Like the referee's like watching, he's like watching, and then next thing the table just goes.
the spotlight following them into the audience as well is very well done.
Well, like one of them getting thrown off the balcony, and the crowd just being like, "Oh!" and then falling back as.
It's amazing. Yeah, oh yeah, because he dived into the crowd, didn't he? Yeah,
Yeah, and the crowd
yeah, all fell down like dominoes. Yeah,
all in unison too. It wasn't just one person fell, then another, then another. They just all went.
yeah, no, yeah, no, that match is that's great. For entertainment value, that's a 5-star match for me.
Oh, I'll bring that up on my phone. It'll be easier to bring up on my phone. Bad Blood is tomorrow.
Yeah,
Are you watching that?
I will be. Maybe not live.
Yeah, so I'm debating on watching it live or not. I'm probably going to do reactions to it. If I don't watch it live, I won't see any results till after, because I do D&D as well,
Yeah.
and I've got D&D tomorrow. So, let me just bring up the matches for Bad Blood. Not on 2004. We want 2024.
So 20-year gap, eh?
Yeah, bring it up because I want to get your predictions for these matches. Also, mine. So we've got predictions. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre.
Oh man. It's a tough one. I want to say Punk because although he did win the strap match, Drew basically made sure that feud was not done with. So
Well,
I
yeah, they
think
won all
CM
right
Punk,
now.
yeah, I think CM Punk has to definitively win for the feud to be over with. And considering they're in the cell match itself, Hell in a Cell, I think that rather Punk Punk should probably win to enable him to move on. But I would not be disappointed if Drew won because Drew's character work since he turned heel at the start of the year has been absolutely phenomenal. He is a top level troll.
Definitely. For me, I reckon Punk should win. This is what his first major rivalry since being back in the company.
Yeah.
Punk wins. Drew loses, and he becomes like real seethed and angered, and that we get more of a vicious heel Drew from that.
Yeah.
Singles match for the WWE Women's Championship: Nia Jax versus Bayley. Predictions on that?
Man, what's funny is that I don't think most people care about the match itself as opposed to what role she's going to play in that match, being the Miss Money in the Bank. Because she's basically like Nia Jax's their friendship is based on Nia Jax just bullying Tiffany into doing whatever she wants. And they've teased it a few times now where it looks like Tiffany might cash in on Nia Jax. But I think that if Bayley were to win, I think that would be a much easier cash in for Tiffany than trying to cash in on Nia Jax.
Do you
But
think...
I feel like that feel like they might tease another cash in, and I think Nia might win, but I think Tiffany might cash in on like a more major show. Although I would not be surprised if Nia lost and Tiffany cashed in.
So you reckon if Nia loses, Tiffany will cash in?
Yeah, I would say, like, Nia Jax like beats down Bayley after the match type thing, and then Tiffany kind of swoops in and steals the title type thing.
Yeah, I see with like the bullying that Nia's been doing, I reckon Tiffany's going to cash
she might
in
even
on
just
Nia.
turn on her. Yeah.
I mean, we could even have her enter the match and freaking cash in. Say she's cashing in, bang, briefcase shot to the head of Nia. Match is no disqualification once it's a triple threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's going to be good to see what happens. It's not so much the match itself, it's the possibilities on that one.
Yeah, I think that's the major attraction for that match is not so much who's versing who, but what Tiffany is going to do during the match. I feel like that's the main draw of that match.
Yeah. Then we've got a singles match: Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. Who's winning that one?
I mean, I would hope that Priest just beats the crap out of him, to be honest. Like, Finn's just been a right bastard to him since turning on him. I just feels like it'd be great if just Priest just went in there and just laid waste to him, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. So I reckon with that one, Damian's going to dominate the match. Going to like have freaking Finn down, whatever. Then we're going to have freaking Judgment Day interfering.
McDonough and Carlito running down and...
Yeah. I mean, even Dom, because Dom's in the match. Dom's kind of in the match after. If the order here is the order that they're going to be.
You never know if WWE, they sometimes have like real huge main event as like the opening match.
Yeah, well, they've already confirmed that Hell in a Cell match is the opener.
Oh, there you go. That's exactly my point then, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be the main event, or at least, before the main event.
We know what the main event's going to be. We know what the main event's going to be.
This card only has 5 matches on it.
Yeah, well, the last one did as well, I believe.
Yeah, so speaking of matches, then the next one, the co-main event, or one before the main event, whatever you want to call it, singles match for the Women's World Championship with Dominic Mysterio suspended above the ring in a shark cage. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I'm calling shenanigans and Liv retains.
Yep.
I feel like the Rhea's gonna win the title back, but I don't think it's this event.
Nah. My prediction for that one: referee distracted. Dom
gets out.
Or Dom drops a weapon down to Liv from the cage. A pipe, anything, whack. Rhea gets hit. 1, 2, 3. So we both get. So Liv retains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see Rhea getting the title back to like one of the big pay-per-views, maybe Survivor Series. If she's not in the War Games match.
Yeah, or not even until like maybe next year, Rumble or Mania. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or she wins the Rumble in Mania, and then we've got our main event, the tag team match: Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa.
Yeah, I already knew this was going to be the main event, like, well in advance, because they had
That was obvious, that one.
Well, I mean, not even that. You had all the promotional material was Cody Rhodes and Metro Booming, doing the vignettes in the car, scoping out the arena together. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, so Cody Rhodes is already the hometown hero. And they've also leaned into the whole fact that Roman Reigns used to play Gridiron in Atlanta as well. So there was no doubt that was going to be the main event. Like the second I saw it, I was like, well, there's your main event for Bad Blood. Like you got because Roman Reigns is probably one of your, if not the biggest star in the company. You got Cody's your champ, like he's the face of the brand. You know what I mean? And then the Bloodline is like one of the biggest and hottest storylines going in wrestling today. But yeah, I feel like the Bloodline should win this match, if only because they've kind of been gotten the better of lately.
Yeah, I mean they do have
and
the numbers as well.
But they need something to reel them back in, as like that vicious, unstoppable force. And I think when you've got Jacob Fatu in there, who is very quickly becoming one of my favorites on the roster, I think he will be he'll be the factor in the Bloodline winning the match.
Do you reckon we're going to get any returns in that match?
I mean, you've got all the players already for there. You've got Randy Orton and Kevin Owens already feuding with the Bloodline. You've also got the Street Profits also have a problem with the Tongans as well.
Yeah,
and DIY for that matter as well. They've also got problems with the Tongans. So, I mean, the faces have an overwhelmingly large alliance pool to pull out of.
They do. So what I was thinking is, do we get the Wise Man back, or how Roman mentioned they took Jimmy from me?
Yeah.
Will we get Jimmy back?
Or will we see that Cody and Reigns can't actually put their shit together for 5 minutes to get along, and they end up turning on each other?
That is also another possibility. There are so many possibilities in this match, but at its face value, I reckon Bloodline should win.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
I was going to say, for storyline's sake, the Bloodline should definitely get the win in this one.
Yep. Definitely. Apparently Zelifatu's also and Hikaleo have also signed, so there's a chance they could show up. Are they going to be
Jeez.
part of the bloodline, or are they going to come and help Roman?
Yeah, lots of speculation there.
Yeah, there's so much there.
Or even they might even show up after Bad Blood, you know what I mean? In the lead up to War Games.
That is also true. Because is War Games the next pay-per-view? Or
I
Survivor Series
believe
War
so.
Games?
Yeah. Because that's the usual Thanksgiving pay-per-view, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna need we're gonna have Solo Sikoa and his bloodline versus Roman Reigns in that.
Yeah.
He is going to need some more backup. Although, like you said before, he's got freaking Street Profits, DIY. Who else?
Orson and Owens.
Yeah. So there's people that could join him, but also it's would they join Roman?
Yeah. Well, you see, they've been doing that thing on the SmackDowns where Kevin Owens, every time it looks like he's going to offer his 2 cents on the current situation, he gets cut off.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because now they've done it a couple of times. You're like, man, what's really going on in Kevin Owens' head? You know what I mean? Is he ready to like turn on them, or is he gonna join them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Because
will he, won't he?
he's been feuding with the Bloodline the longest out of all of them.
Yep, since while Sammy was part of the bloodline.
Yeah. Yeah, people thought it was going to be all over after Sammy got out.
Nope, bloodline's still going.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because when Solo kicked out Jimmy, you know what I mean, and they had Tonga and then Tonga Loa show up, I was like, oh, okay. And then when Jacob Fatu showed up, I was just like, oh yeah, like.
Did you see how they brought Jacob down? I think it was during the ads. I think someone filmed it. There was like a ring crew coming down to like fix the ring, and they had Jacob in the middle with a hood on. So they were surrounding him. They got him down there, and they got him under the ring.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
We'll probably wrap this up soon. I think I've got a couple more questions, but that whole under the ring just made me think, have you ever had to be under the ring for a show, like come out from under the ring during a match?
I've done under the ring spots. I don't know if I've done it. I don't know if I've had to be on for a long period on the show. I mean, we've done it with other people where someone's dressed up just like Stuart, and then we do the switcheroo. So we've had, other people under the ring for about like half an hour before we have my match or whatever, go in as people are coming in and then pop out maybe like first, second match, you know what I mean? So they're not under there for like an incredibly long amount of time because it's not comfortable under there.
No, and it's not like there's a laptop and games under there to play.
Yeah, you're literally just like twiddling your fingers, biding your time. So
yeah.
No, we've I've done a couple of under ring spots like during matches and stuff. But nothing like super long. But generally, anytime that type of stuff comes up, we've always tried to plan it like where the person under the ring is spending the least amount of time as possible under there, because it's not really fair to them.
Yep, and I reckon I'll make this the last question. Any advice you've got to anyone who's thinking of becoming a professional wrestler?
Man, I think now more than ever, it's probably easier on the New Zealand scene to get into wrestling. There's numerous places, especially in the North Island. I mean, like, how many places has Auckland got?
APW, Hughes Academy, Legacy Pro. What else have they got?
Yeah.
Because Maniacs is no longer. You've got
I'm sure.
You've got Hidden Combat down in Hamilton.
Yeah.
CPW and Valiant here in Wellington. Unified.
You've got us in Christchurch. You've even got SPW in Invercargill. Yeah, I mean, like, when I got in, I very a friend of mine just happened to be like, "Hey, did you know that there's wrestling in Christchurch?" And I went, "What?"
He's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm like, "There is," and he's like, "Yeah," because so we were friends for I met him and a bunch of other people through other stuff, doing like playing video games, like fighting games. So we were doing like competitions and like Tekken and Street Fighter and all that type of stuff. And we just happened to all have a shed for pro wrestling as well. So he just happened to see it online. He goes, "Oh yeah, the Christchurch blah blah." So I looked it up, and I think they'd only run like 2 or 3 shows at that point. So they just started up. And then we went to a bunch of shows, and then I got in. But before that, you had to travel to like Wellington or Auckland to get into wrestling. So there wasn't really much of a scene around the country. But since then, you've got, as you said, you've got multiple in Auckland. You've got a couple in Wellington, Hamilton, Invercargill, and here in Christchurch. So if you've ever wanted to get into wrestling, like, the opportunity is now more plentiful than it's ever been, I think, in the whole scene of New Zealand wrestling.
Yep. And for those around the world that aren't in New Zealand, if you want to become a wrestler, go for it, I reckon.
Yeah. I mean, overseas, there's plenty of, like, places you can look up, and there's always, companies are always looking for people to, come in and do stuff. Pro wrestling's a more open community than it used to be when they used to protect the business against outsiders from all costs. So I think you'll find that most places are quite welcoming and very open to new intakes and people wanting to get into the business now than they used to be several decades ago.
We couldn't have this conversation if that was still the case.
Yeah.
We couldn't have broken the kayfabe wall down and talked about Stuart.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you would have had to just have had Stuart on the show.
Yes. Sorry, I know I said last question before, but we'll do that. Let's just give the audience an example of how it would have gone with Stuart. So if I ask you I'll ask you a question, can you answer it how Stuart would answer?
Oh, actually, I've got the mask right here. I can just put it on. We can do a little go around if you want.
Yep.
Give me a sec.
So, guys, this is how the interview would have gone if kayfabe was still a thing, like protected really well, and I was interviewing Stuart instead of Tim. So I'd be like, "So hey, Stuart, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?"
Good.
So, Stuart, how did you get into wrestling?
Abraxas!
What has been your favourite moment in wrestling so far?
Wrestling!
Well, yes, obviously wrestling, but has there been a moment that has stood out?
Wrestling! Yes!
So, as you can see, guys, the interview with Stuart in character would not work. It would be a crack up.
Yeah.
But I'd like to just take this time to thank. Oh, actually, can you hear me? I don't think you can. Wait till.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I just clicked like, hang on, no, you can't hear me without the headphones on.
Oh, I can hear. It just sounds very far away.
Yeah. I was just going to say,
Well,
going to take this time to thank you for coming out to the podcast.
yeah, man.
Also,
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for that little moment there as Stuart, showing the audience exactly how the interview would have gone with Stuart.
Yeah, it would have been disastrous.
It would have been. But is there anywhere that people can like follow you? Like, does Stuart have like Instagram?
So Stuart, I have a Stuart the Druid Facebook page. That's about the only thing you can really follow me on wrestling wise.
Yep.
I don't know what the actual link is.
Well, if we can find the link, I'll post it in the description when this goes on the Double Count Out YouTube and on Spotify.
Awesome.
But thank you for joining us today. I was trying to figure out here because I'm not stopping the stream, so I'm going to be switching to streaming some Pokemon after this.
Oh, goody.
What,
one of the later games?
Yeah, I'm going to be hatching some Quaxley eggs, trying to get a shiny Quaxley on Pokemon Scarlet.
Oh, mate, I have a mate and he plays Pokemon and he spends hours, like, grinding for shinies.
Oh, do you have a Twitch account?
Yes. I don't know what it is from the top of my head, though, because I've barely used it, ever.
I was going to say, if you jump on Twitch, then I can show you all the shinies I've got on Scarlet alone.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll have to figure out my Twitch.
Sweet. But once again, thank you for coming out. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. Normally
it's been fun.
Yeah, normally right now I would reveal who the next guest is. Wow. But that is yet to be determined. Once that has been determined, I will reveal it. But yeah, thank you, and I will catch you next time.
Alright, see you around, man.
See you. I just realised I'm muted. I just need to stop the stream because, as you can see, layouts aren't happening, so I'll be right back.
I might see if there's another patch of grass in a sec. Let's just have a look. Let's go up here.